YouTube, what the crap's going on? HeirofCarthage here, back on Total War Rome 2, and it's going to be another online battle, this time Royal Scythia versus the Arverni. I did not pick the Arverni to counter, or the Royal Scythians to counter Arverni. My opponent picked the Arverni after I picked Royal Scythia, which was a weird move. Not the type of army that I would expect, and then his army here is also very odd. He's brought a small number of extremely capable infantry, with very little cavalry, a scorpion, and some, rather than slingers, he brought Celtic skirmishers. Slingers are actually pretty effective against unarmored horse archers. Now, had I brought armored horse archers, which were available, my opponent would have been in some serious trouble. But yeah, he brought this odd army here. So when the battle starts out, you know, all I can see is his two Celtic light horse, and we start moving towards each other, and then his infantry pops up. My army is 5 horse archers. Then I've got 5 Royal Scythian skirmishers. Let me go into slow motion real quick because I don't want you to miss anything. These guys have very good shield value for a horseman. And this is something that I've been trying to figure out, and I'm actually trying to contact CA to get more information on it. If you already know, let me know. But when you look at melee defense, it has a base value and a shield value. And I've been noticing that the melee defense on most melee cav is mostly due to their shield. And previously I was thinking it just meant that it was their base value, but so because shot cab, if you look, they have pretty much nothing. They don't carry a shield, so a shot cab doesn't have any, I can't mouse over to it in this particular scenario, but anyway, a shot cab doesn't have the same setup. They have no shield, so it's just a base value. The base value between shot cab and melee cab is actually very similar, but the big difference is the shield, and so my question has been, does the shield add protection in a melee fight as well as against missiles? It makes sense that it would. I guess it's just something that I'm curious about, because shield strength shows up in a couple of spots. It shows up one under armor, and it shows up again under melee defense. To missile fire and melee attacks, whilst being hit in melee. I mean, yeah, it's an interesting number. Anyway, he chases after my horse archers with his light cav. I just intercept them with a couple of lancer units and destroy them. He gets minimal damage on my horse archer units. And then he brings out his heavy horse here too, and I'm keeping an eye on it. I want to charge it and destroy it, but I don't want to do it too close to his support units. I hadn't yet noticed the fact that he was wielding a Celtic scorpion, which is not a huge threat to me, but scorpions are pretty good against cav, and if he gets enough time to fire with it, he could potentially kill over 100 cavalrymen with it, which would be well worth his while. Because the thing is if I can't get to late game with enough missiles and men left, I won't be able to properly surround and destroy his elite infantry. This is a very risky gambit that my opponent took here with his army. The Arverni do have some excellent spearmen, so I can kind of see where he would pick the Arverni. They also have war dogs, which means you can chase off horse archers, but he releases his war dogs against my my steppe noble lancers, and he's chasing with heavy cav, and his heavy cav's going to get destroyed by these lancers. They'll last a little while in the fight because they're a good cav, but I mean, a charge is not going to treat them well, and you can see that they lose quite a few men on the charge. And then I bring in another lancer unit, and he releases another unit of war dogs, so I think he's hoping that the war dogs will come in here and hurt me. I don't know how many kills. These savage dogs have no kills yet, and those don't have any yet either. Who knows? We'll see. Yeah, savage dogs are not doing well right now. They usually don't do well against heavily armored targets. So one thing that is driving me crazy about Rome 2 still is the skirmishing capability with your cavalry. They'll just let javelin armed units get within range and fire. They won't keep their skirmish distance from javelin armed units. And then the skirmish function itself is just not very good. Like, the way your men skirmish, the AI is constantly issuing them new orders. And on Rome 2, there's like a little bit of a stutter every time you issue a new move order that kind of just slows your men down just a little bit. So sometimes it's not very advantageous when running away from someone to issue a ton of move orders because it'll make your men stutter a little. So number one, I have to manually keep these guys out of range of his javelin, which I do a pretty poor job of because I'm also trying to destroy his scorpion. I got it back here, and I'm trying to get away from his spear nobles. And then I'm trying to get away from some of his units over here too. I destroyed his, looks like his savage dogs finally got a few kills. And then he charges his, he charges in these 2 units of savage dog handlers to try and finish the fight. But yeah, I mean, see how his javelins keep getting in range, and then while I'm moving my other units, they get kills on my horse archers. It's been kind of a frustrating scenario. So I wish there was some way that the skirmish function worked better. Otherwise, since there's not, I really just need to quit complaining and do my best to make more moves. Anyway, so I finished off as Savage Dogs. I do lose a Step Noble Lancer there. Not really sure why. I didn't see any units that were really that capable. The Savage Dogs didn't get very many kills. It was probably his Heavy Horse that took a bit of a toll on the extended melee. So over here, he left another Celtic Youth unguarded, so I charged it real quick with some Step Noble Lancers. But again, he's got these Spearmen right behind, and my attention was over here trying to get my Horse Archers. Look at this. These guys have been on skirmish the whole time. Do you see how close his units got there, and my men hadn't even moved yet? I had to issue him another order. So, I mean, the skirmish function on Rome 2 is just weird. So, in upcoming patches, it's something that I'd like to see them improve, because, to be honest, yes, you can manually skirmish your Horse Archers. Again, look at this. I issue a movement order, and with skirmish on, they still run into the unit. Yes, it was a mistake on me issuing the movement order, but still, the skirmish just isn't keeping my men away. And it's just downright irritating how close it lets your men get to enemy units, because all the time, you know, you'll get infantry chasing your horses, and they'll just keep throwing javelins and throw javelins, and you'll like lose a Horse Archer unit to a foot unit because they get within javelin range before the AI even attempts to skirmish away. It's kind of a weird deal, like I said. See there again, he got a javelin throw, and so my Horse Archers really haven't done all that much in this battle. Finally, though, I do have all of his men split up, and I've been saving the ammunition on my Royal Skirmishers. These guys have 40 missile attack, and CA kind of touted them in their video about missile cavalry, and I wanted to give them a shot. They're a very interesting unit. They have brutal melee attack, and they have decent melee defense too. Decent armor, not great, but they have good shield value. So anyway, their missile attack is 40, which is a lot for a Javelin unit. The one thing though that I've noticed about Javelin Cav is that they don't have enough ammo, in my opinion. Or, I'd like to see it one of two ways. One, keep their ammo the same, which is fine, because I mean, how many Javelins can you carry from horseback? That kind of makes sense. Here they are throwing, and you can see them, they get a decent number of kills against Spear Nobles, which is a very strong unit. But it's not like super impressive, not like back in the day of Javelins, where Javelins would lay waste, and these guys probably shouldn't either. But yeah, anyway, I am starting to take an attrition on the Gallic troops, but back to this unit here. And I'll kind of zoom out while I talk about it so you can watch what's going on over here. The Javelins on horse, I think they should get a slight damage increase for all their units, just because they don't have as many men in the units. So see, there's only 60 men, as opposed to it'd be like 90, I think, in a foot unit. Check out these Spear Nobles, unbraced, downhill trample charge. Those guys have a lot of armor, and they do very well, all things considered. But even they can't handle that kind of flank charge. So spear units have to be braced to be more effective. They definitely took it better than most units would have, but they end up getting hammered. He does turn on cavalry counter tactics, but it's too late. And then I just did a quick charge on those Oathsworn just to hold them up. But see, my opponent's forced to chase me at this point, which is the kind of game I want for Royal Scythia. I'm not ready to just enter a melee with his men, because I need his men to get split up and isolated so that I can knock him out one by one. If I go into just a straight up melee confrontation, I'll lose. So yeah, I'm going to keep throwing all my javelins. I want to expel all my ammo. These extremely well armored and shielded units need to be beaten up a little before I just take them down. And I was thinking about going after his skirmishers back here, but to be honest, they're out of ammo. I figured they would be. So I decided instead to do a rear charge on this Oathsworn. And I'm just going to keep skirmishing with these units. And again, his guys keep getting close enough to throw javelins, which is irritating. But I'm not doing a great job of stopping them. Plus, it's not unusual for a javelin armed sword unit to get within javelin range of a javelin cavalry, because they all have the same range. So, in any case, I'm able to isolate this Oathsworn, charge it from the front and the back, and we're going to be able to knock it out. So again, isolate and destroy is going to be the key here. And don't be fooled, though. These are skirmisher cav, but they are capable in melee. However, I do not want to sit around in a mass melee with a ton of these guys, so that's why I'm whittling them away. And then I try and catch them unbraced like I did here, and then I'm going to surround. So see how I caught them unbraced? They turn around, then I'll charge in on my skirmisher cav. And ram horns aplenty when fighting against the steppe factions. These poor Arverni guys are going to get mobbed. And he does go into headhunt at the last second. And he's about to go into an unbreakable mode, so I'm kind of hoping to break him before he hits that point, which I did not. So see how his guys just go unbreakable and they'll keep getting kills? Not a ton, because they're getting knocked over and plowed over, but as soon as it ends, they rout. But I mean, it did a toll. Look, this unit, Horse Archers here, is getting ready to rout. So I'll just continue to single him out at this point. He leaves his Celtic youths open to a charge from my horse archers over there. And he's going to bring in his spear noble, trying to engage me while I'm still in a blob. That's good. That would be what he wants, because if my men are blobbed, I don't get a good charge. His men are trying to throw javelins there. They got a few off. But I'm going to charge him from behind again, so he's not braced, but my unit's tired. But I'll bring in a couple of units, and then once again, as soon as I get him unbraced from one side, I'm going to charge him from the other, and we get an immediate rout on the spear nobles, and that was pretty much the end of his army. So, kind of fun. I haven't played as Royal Scythia in a long time. I don't know that the Arverni were the best choice to go against Royal Scythia, but you could tell that my opponent was trying to think of a strategy that would work here. All of his units are very heavy, very well armored, which means I'm going to have to expend more ammo for less effect, basically. He did bring skirmishers to try and ward me off a little, and he even had a scorpion so he could ward me off from distance. He had savage dogs as well to try and ward off light cavalry. Not a bad plan on his part. I just think that I may have changed the unit composition just a little. Let's go take a look at the Arverni and just see. I'm trying to remember all their spearmen. Yeah, these chosen spearmen here are probably what I would have brought instead of the spear nobles. If you look, they already have 72 melee defense and 65 armor, which is the same armor rating as the spear nobles. The spear nobles just have more attack, a little more melee defense, and more base morale. Slightly more health too. But I mean, it's not a huge deal. You can get almost 2 chosen spearmen for 1 spear noble. Not quite, but you know, fairly close. So that would have been probably a good focus. These spear warriors are a little cheaper still. Their armor's a little lower too. A potential use though, he could have had more spearmen. And then in terms of fending off my horse archers, he brought these skirmishers, and he did pretty well with them, all things considered, due to my poor skirmishing. I think how much better he would have done if he would have had a whole bunch like of chosen spearmen and spear warriors backed up with a whole bunch of Celtic slingers, and then a little bit of cav and war dogs. That would have made my task a lot more challenging. And then maybe just trickle in a couple of spear nobles for support. And then, you know, maybe put a single noble horse or a couple of veteran riders or something in there that if you can get me caught in some spears, you can pin me so that I can't retreat. The Arverni aren't an impossible faction to play against cav factions. They have capable spearmen. Their problem is going to be skirmishing. If your opponent brings armored horse archers, you're going to be in trouble. If your opponent's not smart enough to bring a nomad faction against you, let's say that though it's a wooded map and they bring a nomad faction anyway, and you bring the Arverni, your chances are going to be increased greatly because enemy archer fire is going to be drastically reduced in effectiveness. If you go on an open field battle, like my opponent did here, Arverni versus a steppe faction, it's not going to work out well for you. And to be honest, a lot of players will have better micro than me, and they'll be able to do a lot better job of picking you apart. Plus, I really wanted to try those Royal Skirmishers. They could have just brought a lot more horse archers. Those Royal Skirmishers were expensive. They ended up playing a nice role, but, you know, it's a risk on my part to bring such an expensive unit. Anyway, hope you all enjoyed this. I hadn't gotten to play as Royal Scythia. I don't know, hardly if ever, on here, so it was kind of fun to give them a try. And I hope you all enjoyed the video. HeirofCarthage signing off for now.